Floridians have a very specific talent. They can look at something that could kill them and decide calmly that it's furniture. The gator in the pond is scenery. The thing that brushed your leg in the river was probably a fish. It's not stupidity. It's that if you added up what shares your zip code, you might never get back in the water. So today, we're adding it up. 10 predators living in Florida right now, ranked not by which looks scariest in a documentary, but by how hard the people beside them pretend they aren't there. Quick thing first, if you like the Florida nobody prints on a postcard, subscribe, it keeps this channel alive. And in the comments, what's the wildest animal you've seen in your own neighborhood? Number 10, the feral hog. Start with the one you've already dismissed. Somewhere in your head there's a picture of a pig, and it is pink, slow, and faintly comedic. Delete it. The animal rooting through the tree line at the edge of all 67 counties in Florida is a wild boar, and the polite farm word pig is doing an enormous amount of lying for it. There are an estimated 500,000 of them in the state, a black, bristled, muscle-dense animal that can top 200 pounds, run in short, brutal bursts faster than you can, and carries tusks that keep growing and keep sharpening themselves every time the jaw closes. They aren't native. Spanish explorers turned pigs loose centuries ago, and Florida's swamp and scrub handed them a paradise with no off switch. A sow protecting piglets does not bluff. A cornered boar goes through the obstacle, not around it, and the obstacle is occasionally a hunter, a hiker, or a dog. And they breed like something engineered to 2 litters a year, which is why every eradication program in the state is really just a program to slow them down. Here's why it opens the list. The danger is real, but the pretending is almost total, because wild pig sounds like a petting zoo escapee, not a predator. People find a lawn torn up overnight and think raccoons. It wasn't raccoons, it was a herd of 200-pound animals with weapons on their faces, 40 feet from the back door while the porch light was on. Number 9, Africanized honeybees. Now a harder question. What if the predator isn't an animal? It's a decision made by 100,000 animals at once. Every other creature on this list is a single body you could, in theory, see coming. Not this one. Africanized honeybees, the ones the tabloids branded killer bees, have been established across Florida for years, and they are physically almost identical to the ordinary honeybee working the flowers by your mailbox. You cannot tell them apart at a glance. That's the entire problem. What's different is temperament. A European hive, disturbed, sends a few dozen guards. An Africanized colony treats a lawnmower, a leaf blower, or a curious dog as an existential threat and empties itself. Thousands of bees, pursuing a target hundreds of feet for far longer than instinct should allow. The nest's alarm zone is wider, the guard force larger, and the pursuit outlasts anything a European hive would attempt. The venom isn't stronger, the math is. It's death by volume, and the people it kills most years aren't allergic. They simply couldn't get away fast enough. And you cannot outfight a cloud. And here is the denial, and it's a beautiful one. There's no monster to disbelieve. Nobody stands in their yard insisting bees don't exist. They just never imagine that the swarm humming in the soffit of the house, the one they keep meaning to call somebody about, could be the most statistically lethal wild thing on the property. It doesn't hide in a swamp. It moves into the wall. Number 8, the cottonmouth. Picture the water first. Warm, tea-colored, still. A cypress log half submerged near the bank where you've waded 100 times. You reach for it. The water moccasin, the cottonmouth, is the reason old Floridians tell you never to grab anything floating you didn't watch drift in. It's a thick, dark, semi-aquatic pit viper that lives in exactly the water people treat as safe. Slow creeks, swamp edges, drainage ditches, the shallows behind the boat ramp. Unlike most snakes, it doesn't always flee. Cornered, it holds its ground, throws its head back, and gapes, that startling white mouth flashing open like a warning label the animal was born wearing. Its venom is cytotoxic. It dissolves tissue. A serious bite is a hospital, a run of antivenom, and sometimes permanent damage to the hand or foot that met it. And it's comfortable in the water in a way that unsettles people once they picture it. It swims with its whole body riding high on the surface, which means the dark shape crossing toward the dock isn't always a stick caught in the current. The pretending here is specific, and it costs people fingers. Almost every harmless water snake in Florida gets called a moccasin, so folks assume the reverse must be true too, that the fat snake sunning on the bank is just a water snake. It swings both ways, and the wrong guess is the one you make while reaching. Nobody denies the cottonmouth exists. They deny that the log they're about to grab is close enough to bite. Number 7, the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. Some animals you mistake for something else. This one you simply refuse to picture. The eastern diamondback is the largest venomous snake in North America, and Florida isn't the edge of its range. Florida is the middle of it. A big one clears 6 feet. The body is as thick as a forearm. The fangs are long enough to punch venom deep, and the venom is the kind that wrecks blood and tissue on the way in. It doesn't want you. Its whole existence is a strategy of not being found. Lie still. Match the leaf litter. Rattle only when stillness fails. Bite only when the rattle fails too. So, the habitat is the thing to sit with. Palmetto scrub, pine flatwoods, the unmowed lot beside the gated community, the gopher tortoise burrow at the edge of the new development, the brush line the kids cut through to reach the bus stop. Every morning, people walk dogs down that same green margin and tell each other with total confidence, "You never see snakes around here." They're right, they never see them. That's not the snake being absent. That's the snake being excellent. 6 feet of it, coiled, perfectly still, 15 feet from a sidewalk, listening to a jogger it has no interest in becoming known to. The bite happens in the 1 second the strategy fails. A boot set down blind, a hand reaching into brush for a golf ball, and the snake is as startled by it as you are. Neither of you wanted the meeting. Number 6. The Nile monitor lizard. Okay, this one sounds like a hoax, and it isn't. In parts of southwest Florida, Cape Coral especially, a city laced with more canals than almost anywhere in the country, residents have spent years quietly reporting a large, dark, forked-tongued lizard patrolling the seawalls. Neighbors talk each other out of it. It's an iguana. It's a big skink. You saw a gator on the far bank. It is not an iguana. The Nile monitor is an African predator, a cousin of the Komodo dragon's family tree, and an escaped and released pet trade population has been breeding along those canals for 2 decades. Adults can reach 5 feet or more. They're powerful swimmers, sharp-clawed, strong-jawed, and genuinely carnivorous. They raid burrows and nests, take eggs, fish, small animals, whatever they can overpower, including, in principle, the nests of the very gators and burrowing owls that are supposed to be the local wildlife. A backyard dog isn't off the menu by size alone. The denial on this one is denial by disbelief. It's just too absurd. A 5-foot African lizard cannot possibly be sunning itself on a suburban Florida seawall between a pontoon boat and a kid's kayak. Except that it can, and it is, and it's raising its young there. And because everyone's talked themselves out of it for so long, it's had a 20-year head start on a fight nobody agreed to have. Hold that thought, by the way. It's not the last animal on this list that flew in from another continent and decided Florida would do just fine. Still with me? Good. Because from here down, none of these are theoretical, and none of them are small. If the channel's earning it, drop the subscribe now so the back half of this list finds more people. The top 5 is where it stops being a curiosity and starts being the reason locals lower their voices. Number 5. The bull shark. Everyone makes a deal with the ocean. The deal is, sharks live there, in the salt, past the sandbar, and as long as you respect the water you've drawn a line, they won't cross. The bull shark did not agree to the line. It doesn't recognize it. It doesn't even notice it's there. Broad, heavy, bad-tempered, up to 11 feet and 500 pounds, the bull shark carries a piece of physiology almost no other big shark has. It can control the salt in its own body and pass freely from ocean into fresh water. So it does. Bull sharks have been confirmed hundreds of miles up American rivers. In Florida, they're documented residents of tidal rivers far from any beach. The Caloosahatchee, the Peace, the brown inland water where a man fishes waist-deep at dusk and a family floats off a river sandbar, miles from the coast, certain they left the sharks behind at the shoreline. They didn't. There was never a shoreline to the shark. Salt to fresh, ocean to river. For the bull shark, that isn't a border, it's just more room. It even uses those rivers as nurseries, moving pups up into the calm, brackish shallows, which means some of that inland traffic isn't passing through. It lives there, and that's the denial that costs the most, because it isn't built on ignorance. It's built on a rule everyone was taught and everyone trusts, that fresh water is a wall the ocean's predators can't climb. There's no wall. There never was one. Number 4. The Burmese python. Here's the strange thing about the python. Floridians know about it. It's on the news. It has its own state-sponsored hunting season. So the denial can't be it doesn't exist. The denial is subtler. It's about the number. Ask around and people will guess there are, what, a few hundred pythons out in the Everglades somewhere? The honest estimate runs into the tens of thousands, and nobody can give you a real count because these are among the most invisible large animals on Earth. Studies have put trained searchers beside concealed pythons and watched them walk right past, most of the time. A record snake pulled from the sawgrass measured over 17 feet. 15-footers are routine. What that many uncatchable constrictors did to the ecosystem isn't decline, it's erasure. Across huge stretches of the park, raccoons, opossums, rabbits, bobcats, down 90% or more, eaten out of the landscape by a snake with nothing above it. And they don't stay small in ambition either. Pythons here have been found having swallowed full-grown deer, and more than once, alligators. The animal most people would have named as the top of that food chain, right up until they saw the photo. And it isn't staying in the park. Sightings now reach around and north of Lake Okeechobee. The range creeps outward every year. So the kayaker gliding a marsh channel, the photographer crouched at the waterline. They're sharing that water with something longer than the boat, submerged and still, certain of where they are long before they'd ever be certain of it. Number 3, the Florida panther. And now the denial flips inside out. Every animal so far, people insist it isn't there when it is. With the panther, people have decided it's gone. A memory, a license plate, a football team. Something that used to be Florida, back when Florida was wild. It isn't gone, it's holding on by its claws. There are somewhere between 120 and 230 adult Florida panthers left alive. Every one of them here, the last breeding pumas east of the Mississippi. A male can weigh 160 pounds and roam 200 square miles of cypress and palmetto, hunting deer and hog through the southwest interior, tawny and soundless and almost never witnessed. Officials all but beg the public for a verified photo. The population squeezed down so far, decades ago, that inbreeding started showing in the cats' bodies. Kinked tails, weak hearts, and it took a handful of Texas cougars to keep the bloodline breathing. But the young males wander. They've been tracked drifting north toward Orlando. One walked all the way into Georgia. So the cat isn't a relic behind glass. It's moving right now along the seams of a state, paving itself faster than almost anywhere in the country. Which is why the most common way a Floridian ever meets the rarest predator in their state is the cruelest one. Not a glimpse in the wild, a body on the shoulder of the highway at dawn, because the road, not the gun or the swamp, is what's killing the last of them. Number 2, the Nile crocodile. Remember number 6, that it wouldn't be the last thing here to fly in from another continent and settle down? Here's the other one. And this one is not a lizard. Somewhere in South Florida, wildlife officials pulled several crocodiles out of the wild that did not belong to any species that is supposed to live on this continent. They ran the DNA. It matched the Nile crocodile, the African river predator with a body count in the thousands across its range, the one that actually hunts people. At least one had survived, on its own, in the Florida wild for years before it was caught. Sit with the collision. Florida already has 2 native giant reptiles in its water, the alligator and the American crocodile. This would be a third, an apex man-eater from another continent, dropped by the pet trade into wetlands that look like a slightly warmer version of home. Worse, researchers found it not only survives here but grows fast, and everything from native birds and fish to Florida's own crocodile and alligator would be fair game for it. Officials believe they removed the known individuals. Known carries a lot of weight there, over water dark enough to hide anything that holds still. The denial on this one isn't a shrug, it's a flinch. It's the mind refusing the sentence, a Nile crocodile lived undetected in a canal near a Florida neighborhood. Because if that's true, the comforting line between here and over there in the documentaries doesn't exist at all. It never did. Number 1, the American alligator. And of course it's the alligator. Not the most exotic thing here, the least. It's number 1 because Florida has turned not seeing it into an art form so complete, the animal has become weather. Start with the number. An estimated 1.3 million alligators in all 67 counties. 1.3 million. That's not a population, it's a saturation. The retention pond in the office park has one. The 14th hole water hazard has one. The lake at the center of the master-planned community has one. Gators live in essentially every fresh and brackish water in the state. The map of where they are is the map of Florida. A big male clears 10 feet. The largest push past 1,000 pounds. Ambush hunters of monstrous patience, still at the waterline for hours, then closing in a fraction of a second. Florida has absorbed it. People jog past the pond gator the way New Yorkers step over a grate. The denial isn't that it's absent. Everyone sees it. It's the load-bearing pretense that it doesn't matter. The gator is a fixture, almost a pet, until the morning it isn't. The most dangerous ones, officials warn, are the ones people have fed, one marshmallow at a time, in the ponds where children play. That's why it's number 1. Every other animal here hid from us. This one never did. We stopped seeing it not because it disappeared, but because it never left. And to look straight at it means admitting how close we've chosen to live to the thing in the water. That's the list. 1.3 million reasons the calmest state in the country is calm because it decided to be, not because it's safe. Tell me in the comments which one you didn't know was living that close, and whether it changes your next walk past the pond. Subscribe if you want more of the Florida nobody prints on a postcard.